Welcome to the Day One Podcast. I am your host, Adam Daly. Welcome back to another episode. I'm excited to be joined by our CEO and founder, Paul Mayne. Thanks for tuning in with us today, Paul.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are excited to talk about today. Pretty much we're going to stay focused on the big 5.0 release, which introduced a really cool design to what was formerly called the activity feed. And we're really excited to talk about this stuff because this has been a couple of months in the making now, and it's been pretty well received. We've had some great feedback from people, and we're really excited to talk about just kind of the details about this feature and then where we go from here as well. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk about 5.0. Paul, can you give us a little bit of background, like what got us on this path to this new today view?
Yeah, this was kind of the culmination of a lot of efforts that we've been working on for a couple years previously that came together in what we called the activity feed.
Mm-hmm.
And the activity feed kind of started out as a location history tracker that has been kind of a side project, part of Day One, as a way to retroactively journal, I would say.
Yeah.
So you can catch up on places you've been and write about those. And
for me, it was very useful because, as good as I wanted to be about my routine, especially early on with journaling in a digital sphere, I wasn't as consistent being on the same day I was writing entries. So it was really nice to be able to go back, see location data, but then not only that, but my photo history, what photos I took on specific days or calendar events. I didn't use that one as much, but photos for sure, and locations. And so now this is just kind of broadening that, right, in the new Today view, expanding what that looks like, and then just a really slick looking design too.
Yeah, we shifted a bit from where we were trying to go in the previous iteration in the activity feed. We were trying to match up everything. So like if you had a calendar event and a location visit, we would combine those into one row, and then also include any photos or videos inside there. And that got really tricky, just kind of trying to always keep things grouped together depending on the different types of information that you had available. So in this round, we went with a new concept of kind of breaking everything out by type. And so we have these separate sections on here of, it begins with your entries, but then you have the photo library preview. It doesn't include all of your photos in this preview. It's just kind of a summary. There's some intelligence in how it picks which photos. It'll prefer favorited photos, and it will also pick photos from various times throughout the day, so you don't just get like all of your first 4 photos in there.
Which I think is really cool. If I could just comment on that, because I feel like I take a lot of photos with my phone now. I don't even have any other digital camera besides like a GoPro or whatever. But having kind of a broader view of my day that way, without seeing like you said, the first 4 or 5 photos, you actually get kind of it spread out, have a better idea of what you did that day or what pictures you took or where you were. And but you can expand that, right? I mean, obviously you go into it and pulls up the photo picker.
Right. And I think overall with the Today view, it allows you to jump back in time, even before you started using Day One, and get context about what you were doing that day, what was going on, and it's kind of just a starting point for recapping that day. If there was something memorable that you wanted to capture, at the most basic level, then you just hit the plus at the top and create a blank entry and describe something that happened that day. But with the addition of these, with the photos, there's also a balance in here we don't want to do anything automatically or insert information into your journal automatically.
Right.
It needs to be curated and intentional. And so this kind of just gives you this high-level overview to bring you back, and then it's up to you, the user, to select and curate the the important things that you want to capture and retain in here.
Yeah, we actually have had, over the years, questions come up since activity feed was started. Was this content in my journal? But rather than that, it's more of a feed of sources of data that you could put in there, like you said, curation. Yeah, I guess putting too much information is helpful. It depends on how you journal, I guess, right?
Right. So the photos, it's just referencing whatever is in your photo library. Same with the events. Events is your access to your calendars, and you can select which calendars you'd like to appear in here, but none of that information is saved to your day one account currently. That's just referencing your device calendars and your device photo library. But with the places, that is our location history, which we've had going for a few years now, and we have it where it automatically backs up to your CloudKit, to Apple account in a secure way, but none of that information currently is synced with your day one account.
Yeah.
That's something that we've been working on as well, and will become more useful as we roll out new Today view onto the Mac. You'll be able to see your location history from your phone on your iPad and your Mac.
Right.
And it kind of just has that same complete view as you have on the phone right now.
Well, and because, obviously not everybody's hauling around their Mac to different locations and connecting to Wi-Fi to get that location data, whereas most people are more likely to carry around their phone to the different places they go. And so that location history, as we continue to develop this and roll it out, will appear on their other devices when location history sync is available, right? That's really cool.
Yeah.
That way you can just go to your computer and start the entry from there, using that location history without starting it on iPhone first and then switching over to the Mac and having the full keyboard experience. So that's going to be really slick. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So each one of these, as you're talking about here, each one of these sections, obviously the entry stuff is just what you've already created, and you can hide that in the new Today view. So you just see the other stuff like the photos, places, events, and then there's an on this day section as well. But each one of these sections you can tap on to either create new entries, add media to it, or the location stuff. And then I think one of the biggest features that maybe we should spend a little time here are named places, because I know just from the customer service side, we used to have a way to do that by favoriting locations, and now it's coming back, and I think a lot of users are really excited about naming locations. You want to talk a little bit about that and dive into those things?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the beginning of what I think is the next evolution of tagging inside of Day One, and we're starting with named places. Previously to now, when you would name a place, it was similar to when you create a tag on an entry, and it just is unique to that entry, and there's no way to manage or assign a place to a group of entries without doing like a bulk edit.
Right.
And so this is our first sort of tag object that is outside of the entry, that references any entries that fall within that, in this case, a radius around a GPS coordinate. So if you go to an entry and now at your house and you say this is home, now any entries that fall within the radius that we've defined around your house, they will appear throughout the app as home, as the address, as the place name, which is great because you may end up with something that was nearby or right by your neighbor's house, and there's a lot more that we want to do here in allowing users to further customize a named place, specifically around defining the radius and the GPS point precisely. Right now, there's no editor controls for that.
Right.
and as well as, define what type of place it is. Like is it a home? Is it your work? We'll have a few categories for the types of places that it could be. And, that just adds more customization to your journal. But in the future, there are other things that we can do in the way that your information is showcased back to you based on, whether it was at your home or at work or somewhere else.
Yeah, I was thinking it was kind of funny that we're rolling out, location-based stuff when a lot of people are at home. I mean, I wanted to be so excited to do this, but all of my locations are just my house. But what I loved about it, though, as soon as I named it, as you mentioned, all my other entries that fell within that address or location were changed to that. And now they start to default to that saved place as I create entries here, which I think is a big thing that a lot of users were looking for. Just that kind of stability and specificity of their location on a constant, consistent basis.
Yeah, I agree.
And the map looks great too. I love that you can see the little dots on there. I know there's a little bit of confusion about the dots and spacing and stuff like that. Is that something? What do we say about that?
Just like what the dots represent.
Right. Yes. Or the colors and stuff.
Yeah. Like there's no key on there currently, but if you have location history on that day, those appear as those larger white dots. And then each individual entry is represented by a dot that's colored by that journal color.
Yeah, so you get this cool representation right there in the today view of where you've been and where entries were created. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'd say it's there's a lot more that we want to do there in this space, but this is a great next step that we've taken.
And it looks fantastic. A lot of feature requests that we have seen as in the support team for this kind of stuff, like maps coming back to on this day, journal names in where you see your entries in the today view. All of these things, we love hearing from our users and their feedback, and I think a collective experience and how people use the app has just helped with that and has made something really solid that is applicable to probably most of our use cases, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's really great. You can just swipe between days to go to previous days if you want to go back and journal on other things. There's also a little toggle at the top, or directional arrows at the top that you can use if you don't want to swipe. Really great ways to move in and out of these things. And some people might not realize some of the secret stuff that's available as well. For example, tapping the journal name up at the top, you can switch which journal you're looking at. And see a list of entries that you've got there. On the calendar view, you can tap and hold on a calendar on a date and then pull up a little contextual modal window there where you can view the entries that are there, even see a little snippet of the today view and create a new entry or share the entries that you have on that day. So a lot of cool little features there with iOS that I think the design is just fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I love these little secrets that we can find here.
Yeah, one way that I really like to use the today view is from the calendar, as you mentioned, and just we've had requests for you should have a random button where it just takes you to a random day.
Oh yeah,
I like that idea, but I mean you could just do that yourself. I like to just go to the calendar and sometimes go if I can find a day recently that I don't have any entries on, and just kind of see if I can remember that day, recall details, or if there's something notable. But just go to a random day, or somebody's birthday or some notable day years ago, and see the photos that were taken right then. Most people don't have location history that goes back that far, but some users should have up to 2 years of location history in there.
Wow.
And then all your calendar events, those go back as far back as you have been using that calendar service. So those could go back decades, and so there's a lot of what I would say time traveling you could do in this view, just to take a trip back in time.
That's fantastic. I was thinking you're right. I have seen requests for that random entry thing, and then as you were talking about the calendar, I was like, it's like spinning that big wheel in Wheel of or Price is Right. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Pull that thing down and get it going. just swipe a couple of times real fast, and then just tap on a random day. There you go. That's a user workaround, I guess. Yeah, no, everything is looking great, and it's looking really cool on iPad, on iPhone, and we're working on it right now for Mac. We saw some great designs yesterday in some of our meetings, and what it's shaping up to be and looking like. So I know there was a little bit of confusion when 5.0 was released on iOS. People were thinking it was also on Mac, but it's coming. We're working on it right now. So stay tuned for today on Mac. We're very excited to show you what that's going to look like. And it's interesting to listen. This is just kind of an internal thing that I wanted to share. As we sit through our showcase meetings where the developers talk about what they've worked on, and just talking about kind of the intricacies of what's involved in coding this kind of stuff, making sure the cells are lining up, and there's a lot of complication that we have to overcome typing line by line in the code and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, this stuff, we make it look really simple, and that intentionally, but there's a lot of effort that goes into solving these problems, and both on just the conceptual level, the design, but also in the engineering and making them work efficiently.
Yeah, I'm impressed. It's a lot of fun. I'm not a coder, but I do love learning from them and listening to them about just what it takes to build software like this. I had an idea for an app, and I was like, I'm gonna have to recruit some help for that. But all right. So what?
Yeah,
else? Go ahead.
Well, what's one thing about the Mac that's exciting as we're getting close to rolling that out is that currently on the Mac, like, there's no good photo picker, and like if you want to pull in photos, there's no built-in like system way like we have had on iOS, and so you could drag photos from your photo library in, but we're introducing now a photo picker on the new Today View on Mac that will actually, similarly to how we have it on iOS, it'll just pop out a window with all of the photos, little previews of the photos on that day. Currently we'll have it where you can just pick one photo to create an entry from. But that stuff's even useful just as a reference as you're going back, and you don't necessarily have to pick a photo and create an entry from it. Just the fact that they're there and you can visit and just kind of get a sense of that day takes you back to that time.
Yeah.
And having that on the Mac, I think it would be a really great update.
Absolutely. And we've started looking into, obviously next month iOS 14 will be starting to roll out. Big Sur Mac, what is it? Mac 10? No, macOS 11, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, right.
I keep calling it 10.16, but that's not. I know that's not right. So stuff like that we're starting to look into, and how we're going to update for those things. We've talked about the new widget stuff that's coming out on iOS 14. There's a lot of cool stuff that we're excited to start working on with day one and those things, right?
Yeah, Big Sur, the UI improvements there are incredible. It's a beautiful update, and so we've adopted some of the new UI elements and kind of cleaned up the UI to feel even more at home on the Mac and in Big Sur, and so that we're planning to have available on the launch day of Big Sur.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. The widgets will also, so we've had widgets on iOS for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Never brought them over to the Mac, but this time, as we've revisited all of our widgets and have new designs for on this day for what were the other ones?
Well, there's an activity feed one, right, which will be adopting.
Yeah, we're calling that Today.
Yeah.
That's a new. Well, no, actually, that would replace the activity feed widget, and then we have a new Streaks widget.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And then the daily prompt widget, which we also have now, but it's all redesigned with this new widget style, which can be put right on your home screen, and that's gonna be I mean, we've been playing around with iOS 14 betas, and these widgets are really fun.
Yeah. I mean, even I'm just messing around. I have a couple on now on one of my devices that I'm testing the beta on, and just even calendars or reminders. It's nice to have like right on your screen in a prominent way without diving into an app individually. There's some really cool stuff. Prompts. Can we talk about prompts for 2 seconds? Because I think those are a big hit. Honestly, we have a user on Twitter who will like screenshot the prompt every day and talk about what or how he's responding to it. And I think that's just awesome. A great way for people who may not know what to write about on any given day. You don't have to use them all the time, but what a cool way to start those juices flowing on questions you might not think about on average, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this comes from a research project we started years ago, and just curating and coming up with some interesting prompts, and we've tried to surface those in day one in various ways, but until now where we did it as this daily prompt, and we started it out where there's just one single prompt per day. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing unique or different. Everybody sees the same prompt. We did open it up so there's a way to view the most recent 10 prompts by long pressing on the prompt in the app, or if you've already answered it, you'll see an option for that when you tap on one that's already been answered.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as these have rolled out, I've continued to create more and come up with more ideas around interesting, engaging prompts. Right now, they're only turned on by default for English-speaking users.
Right. So localization.
Because some of them are kind of relevant to the U.S. culture and holidays and things like that. Eventually, like the next plan for that is we want to have a set of prompts that are unique to Japanese language, and so we've already translated, I would say, half of ours, but there's still a bit of work to do to get that all working correctly. But eventually we'll have these opened up to multiple languages and cultures. They'll be culturally relevant. And
that's awesome, by the way. That's just fantastic. Because I mean, that's something I didn't even realize. Sorry, I want to interrupt too much of your time, but just in talking with some of the people we've worked with for the Japanese translations, there is a lot of cultural and contextual ideas that can be lost with just general electronic computer translators and stuff like that. And so having someone be able to interpret, like, here's a more appropriate way for a user in this culture to interact with the app or whatever, I think that's fantastic to customize that. So
yeah, and I think there's a lot more potential here. So we're just kind of got into it in a lightweight way that I think is interesting, but eventually we will start, there's only so many useful, interesting prompts, and some I think warrant being repeated. Mm-hmm. So whether it's on a regular schedule or a certain date of the year, over time, if you answer that same prompt every year, it would be interesting to go back and just compare your answers to see how you've changed. And that we support that already. Like, you can answer the same prompt multiple times, and then when you tap on it subsequent times, you have the option to view all of the answers in a single multi-entry view.
Yeah.
But eventually I think we will add some more customization options to the daily prompts in a way that allow you to receive certain types of prompts, or maybe a different categories or something. But or even have more intelligence around surfacing prompts to users that are based on ones that they've answered previously, just so it could make it more relevant to each user customly.
I just think those have been a big hit. We've had a lot of great feedback about the prompts, and then we've had a couple of occasions where they didn't fire right or they didn't show up on a device, and we heard about it. People like the prompts. They wanted it to be in the app that day. So really great work there. We're very excited.
There's a great reminder for daily prompts where you just get the system notification with that prompt in it.
Yeah.
And you can answer it right from the notification, but that's not on by default. Just for anybody that may want to try that out, we don't really prompt or encourage anybody to do that. It's just, but that is a great feature in there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's great. I hope everybody's enjoying the Today View, and if you have questions or feedback or issues, surely hit us up at support. You can go to dayoneapp.com/contact to get all the ways to contact support. We will help answer your questions. You want to talk a little bit about what's next? What's coming up? What do we want to share? What's next for Day One after this big 5.0 release? I mean, obviously Mac, but
yeah.
I mean, continue. So the PDF improvements that we've done already, those will be coming to book printing soon. That's in progress. So excited about those things. The layouts are looking really nice, and so that's I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, updates to book printing.
I know I put I put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's like there's lots of things that are coming up. I guess I can't speak to any individually outside of just like the new OS updates, the widgets. There's definitely some big ideas that we're working towards this year. Shared journals is one big goal that we want to explore some more, where you could share an individual journal between multiple people. So yeah, I think that's the big one.
Cool, very cool. I know that's a big request. Probably one of our top requests, being able to collaborate with someone on a journal. There are some workarounds now, like using the email to journal feature, but I think having a collaborative journal has a lot of great use cases, I think. So I'm very excited. Great stuff. The team works hard. We do our best to squash bugs and make this app a really great thing. I know that our users are just great, and we're thankful for all of your support. We're really excited about what's coming up with the new OS updates. Stay tuned for those. If you have questions or feedback, hit us up, dayoneapp.com/contact. If you want to access our tutorials and help guides, those are available all the time at help.dayoneapp.com. So anyway, thanks, Paul, for your time.
Thanks, Adam.
Very excited for what's next. Stay tuned. We'll be back in some period of time with another episode and talk about more stuff. So until then, this is Adam and Paul saying have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, guys.